Weirdzors.
In the animal world, only the strong survive. This program contains scenes where some don't. Viewer discretion is advised.
From Calamity Airt Productions, a visit to the stables. After receiving my instructions, I started by cleaning the tack rooms. One of them appeared to be in disarray, so I rearranged it. I shifted some hay bales and equipment to the other side of the room. It took me about an hour and a half, but when it was all done, the room looked better.
There, this place should be easier to use now. Time to see the horses.
The department head had told me that there were 3 of them here at this point in the off season. He had said that they were very special. Not surprising considering how people can become attached to their other animals.
The first one we have would be Baron. Ooh, pretty nice.
Baron was a sturdy Belgian stallion who turned his head to look at me as I beheld him. It seemed that my reaction to him was appreciated. I couldn't tell for sure. He had very elegant braids in his blonde mane that added to his already handsome appearance. After having a good look at Baron, I moved to the next stall. I was quite impressed.
Wow, you're nice looking as well.
Brago, a heavy Perkrin, was almost totally black in color. No dapples could be seen on his hide. He looked at me a lot longer than Baron did, which made me wonder what he might be up to. I went down to the next doorway and looked through to see Fergus. When I first saw him, I gasped. I did a double take and rubbed my eyes. I could not believe what I saw. To say that I was impressed would be an understatement.
Holy, you're stunning.
Soon, something nagging at the back of my mind forced its way to my undivided attention.
I bet it must took your groomers a long time. Crap! I forgot the brooms outside.
I went outside of the building to fetch the forgotten items, but then...
What the hell are those dark shapes moving over beside the wall?
I went closer to the shapes only to see them become feral rabbits that scattered about.
Crud! It is really dark out here tonight.
I returned inside to put the brooms back in their proper place. When I was turning out the lights to leave the storage room, I heard a commotion coming from one of the stalls. I heard what sounded like a whining and some thumping noises. Then it stopped.
Now what? Another mess to clean up? Guess I better go see how bad it is.
It was Fergus's stall that I found out what was going on.
Well, I didn't see anything in Baron's stall. Brago's quiet, so I guess it must be your Oh, what the fuck? That thing is big. What the hell are you doing in there? Wow, no way. I don't believe it.
Believe it!
When I looked into Fergus's enclosure, I saw the same rabbit that had run towards the stable wall. The stallion's thick, veiny penis had dropped all the way to the ground. There, the flared head found the stunned rabbit's body. It moved around the small creature's torso, seemingly pinning it to the ground. What had surprised me so much was what happened after the long shaft had stopped probing. I started to notice undulations moving up the stallion's length from its head toward its sheath. I realized that Fergus's long shaft had started to engulf the dazed Lapin. It was a shock to me as I was about to witness cockvor for the first time in real life. I could see that the rabbit was still alive but had been too stunned to move away. Fergus had enough time to drop and feel the small body under its shaft. When the rabbit felt the huge penis start to take his legs in, he twitched and shuddered about, but could no longer escape.
Talk about a good dickin'! Ha 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 ha!
I couldn't believe it.
Believe it!
I could not begin to figure out how he was going to do it, but Fergus was beginning to consume the victim with its stink. As I looked on in amazement, I started to hear some odd noises coming from Fergus. I then realized that it was coming from the lower end of Fergus's todger. It was making a sucking sound as the entrance to its wiener was greedily starting to eat the helpless victim alive. Hold on, I need to get a sound for this. Since I decided that I wouldn't go in Fergus's stall, I started to notice more detail on what was happening. The rabbit was now alert but trapped. There was no way out of the predicament it found itself in. The rippling flesh that climbed its legs was now starting to suck on his tail. He felt fleshy wet warmth gripping. holding and then climbing a bit further around his small, fur-covered frame. There was no doubt in my mind that he was hearing the sucking sounds getting louder and louder, closer to his ears. He would be surrounded by that sickening, wet, meaty sound, while feeling the warm, powerful pulling that got hold of more and more of his body every minute. As I looked up from the increasingly large bulge at the bottom of Fergus's, I figured that as more of the rabbit was engulfed, it was getting more and more difficult for Fergus to eat him in this manner. The small lumps that went up his dick caused the veins to temporarily take on a larger, more impressive appearance. Another way to tell when Fergus would suck was the way his tail was flagging. The tail was already raised upward from having a full-blown erection. I remembered that when a stallion ejaculated during mating, their tails would bob up and down with each burst of delicious semen that went into the mare.
Test that out.
He didn't look at me, but he knew I was there, watching him. I could not begin to fathom what was going on in his mind. After another minute, I started to notice some drops of fluid dribbling down out of the horse's dink. It was some kind of sticky lubricant that started to coat the rabbit's body as he was being eaten. The bulge at the bottom of the stallion's was quite noticeable at the last the victim's legs were being pulled in. It also looked like the penis was starting to retreat a bit as the bunny was starting to lift up. I could not tell for sure because the big, dark, fleshy was still quite long. Still very impressive. The little bulges that were rising up through the stallion's length were becoming more noticeable. I watched the black horse stand in front of me, his ears listening in my direction while he continued to stand in this odd pose. The veins in his long dink showing because of the efforts that Fergus was making to consume his prey. His long tail rose up and down every time he made the inside of his pee-pee climb a little further up the rabbit's body. There I was, hanging on the stall doorway with a herder on my face.
How is this even possible? What am I even looking at? This is something I only thought I could see on the internet.
The prey was struggling harder now, and even threatened to even bite him. Fergus had a brilliant way to deal with such cock prey. When the rabbit struggled and tried to bite his Fergus flung his member and the rabbit up against his belly with a surprising amount of force.
You're getting my balls, bitch!
I heard a sickening sound as his penis had slammed the bunny against his body. For a brief time, the rabbit would dangle, stunned by the rough treatment. The rabbit started to struggle again, only to be stopped by Fergus's quick, forceful pee-pee slap against the underside of his body. The rabbit dangled, stunned again by the horse's penile brutality. One more quick thwack, and the bunny was helpless for good. A short time after the rabbit was lost from view, the lump in Fergus's shaft started moving upwards. Fergus was no longer grunting as the bulge went up his sheath. It seemed that he didn't need to expand as much effort to suck up the prey now that it was completely inside. The whole spectacle was almost over, and I could not take my eyes off what was happening. Several strong pulls dragged the rabbit deeper inside of Fergus. I didn't hear any more of the effort-filled grunts that he made earlier. The bulge slowly went up the stallion's sheath, where it too was swelling. The lower part of the horse's had returned to its normal appearance. Fergus's body language was more relaxed as he felt the victim going up deeper inside him. With the final stage of dragging the victim into his long, meaty malehood concluded, he watched me, staring, seemingly interested in the reaction I was having to what he had just done. I watched with great anticipation the final part of the rabbit's entry into the horse's body. I had expected to see his large testicles grow to swell with the bulk of the prey. However, this did not happen. The rabbit went past them and disappeared into Fergus's body. After some 30 minutes, it was finally gone. I had seen all kinds of cockvore on the net, but after seeing it firsthand, the myth that victims of cockvore ended up in the testicles was busted. Meanwhile, he had been watching me, watching my reaction to him, and to me it seemed as though he had found it quite amusing. I noted that his pee-pee wasn't as flared as it was before. He showed off. Fergus had temporarily broke my brain.
Well, I think I have to get in there and get a closer look. That was just, wow. What the hell is with this stupid door? I need to get in there. I need to get a closer look at this thing. Hello, Art? Are you in the stable? Oh no, not again. Deny again. What do I have to do to get a break around here? First the sexy hyena denied me, then that twink cheetah ran off. The killed wolf wouldn't let me get a peek. Then the tanner, and now this. It's so miserable. Unfair. Unfair!
Disappointed!
I'm a Weasel. Subscribe to this channel for more. Check out the Crafty Arts channel for human things with Crafty Andy. Pause off for gaming things with me, Squigs. Buy things from our store. Patreon for discounts, early videos, and art. That's it. Now get the hell out of here.